Alright, what's up internet? Just waiting for it to connect to YouTube. Alright, there we go. So we should be good. Let me just run the ad habang wala pang tao.
Bibili ka ng PC, most likely kailangan ng Windows. Pero saan ka kukuha ng legit Windows? Daming options, daming prices. Saka nito.
Buti na lang, may cdkeyoffers.com. Madali lang ang order. Search for the software you need, add to cart, daan ka sa payment options nila.
Wala pang 5 minutes, finished! May legit working CDK ka na para sa Windows mo.
Gamitin lang aming code para makakuha pa ng discounts.
Kaya kung naghahanap ka ng legit, mura, at original software,
Check out cdkeyoffers.com.
Alright, what's up internet? Thanks for joining me for another episode of Live from the Shop. And yes, Kuya Benny from YouTube, open tayo even on Sundays. Actually, we're open every day, 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Basta wag lang holiday. What's up, David Go? I used your nugget of information in our Facebook post yesterday, if you noticed. Thanks for doing the research on that. So, wala talaga masyadong script ngayon. I've noticed for the previous live from the shops, like the past 2 or 3 that we've done, palagi may special build or something. But today we're just going back to the regular format na magkakwento lang ako a bit about what we're doing in the shop, as well as yung mga ibang builds na ginawa namin over the week and some of the items that we currently have in stock. So, ikot muna tayo saglit, shop tour tayo. So, we have Ken here doing a general cleaning and cable management for a customer. She brought it in yesterday. A320 board, R5 3600. Oh, it's a 3400G. Okay, so it's an APU. So Ken is just taking off the old thermal paste para makalagay tayo ng bagong thermal paste. Actually, this customer, and when we do our cleaning service, we really take everything apart. So ito yung case niya, and you'll notice na hindi pa tayo dito sa edges, of course, we'll remove the dust here. It's, yeah, very dusty. You'll notice we also removed all the fans. So we're sobrang OC ng mga guys natin dito sa shop. To be honest, kung ako lang yan, I just like, sobrang like, I just go through it like, okay na yan. But the guys at the shop are really very meticulous about cleaning and cable management. So we really take everything apart for that service. Of course, we need to remove the CPU cooler because we're gonna repaste it. Repasting is part of the service. Maraming nagtatanong when we'll start offering GPU repasting. We're working on that. Maybe by the end of this month. We've done some practice runs and so far they've been pretty good. Yung medyo tricky lang kasi sa GPU repasting, tatanggalin mo talaga yung cooling element. The third part, the fans or the radiators, the heat sinks that the manufacturer put in. Tapos paiba-iba yun per GPU. It's not as standardized as doing a PC build or something like that. Paiba-iba talaga yung how the manufacturers install the cooling element onto their GPUs. Kahit yung types of screws, yun nga yun. So parang takot, we want to make sure we have enough experience actually prying off the cooling element before we offer it to the public. But so far, all of our trial runs have gone pretty well. We also need to get the proper thermal pads for the GPUs because thickness of the thermal pads matter, especially for the GPUs. So yun, usually when we have new services like this, talagang tinetesting namin dito sa shop muna bago before we tell the public na, oh yes, kaya namin yan, and pwede mong dalin yung GPU mo or yung cleaning, yung rig mo para linisin. Let me just check the levels before we get to the build over there. Sup, Moniker? Good morning. Let me just check that my sound, yep. All good. Sup, Revinjan? Revinjan identified pa sino yung sa SSD. Sup, Luigi? Thank you also for being on Pwede Magtanong last Friday. Good morning, Rika from Facebook. Hardin from Facebook. Question lang, any hard drive po ba compatible sa any socket, example 1155? I think the question means For storage, so SSDs or hard drives, may kinalaman ba yung socket ng motherboard? And the answer is no. Any, those are pretty standardized for SATA or for M.2. You won't have any problem installing that on basically any PC. It just gets a bit tricky with M.2, especially when you want the speeds, kung PCIe 4 ba yun. But just in terms of compatibility, yung compatibility kasi tinatanong lang, gagana ba yan pag ininstalan, pag linagay ko yan sa PC ko. Why is this thing so close to my face? I need to get a proper selfie stick. Like, I don't wanna see my face that big. Yeah, but compatibility just means gagana ba yan? Gagana naman siya. But as to in terms of like, magagamit mo ba yung buong speed nung drive, yun nga, depende yun sa NVMe, depende ba yun kung PCIe 4, depende din kung saan mo sinaksak na slot. There are a lot of factors that go into it. But kung compatible lang, yeah, sure, no problem. Memory is basically, ideally, it's just plug and play. It's not a complicated thing. So we'll go back to the cleaning. Ken is about to remove the PSU. We're not actually quite sure what this case is. It's an M-ATX case. The customer brought the box. Yung... Oh, it's a Fortress. Okay. Oh. It's a Fortress. Fortress is a bit, generic. I mean, it's branded in the sense na Fortress nga yung brand, pero it's not, it's not a well-known brand for... Actually, yung karamihan nung nakita ko na Fortress, yun yung may kasamang PSU eh. Yung may kasamang PSU, although in fairness, this one has its own third-party PSU na... Ayan, Ken. Raid Max, which we've never carried in the shop. Yep. So, yeah, we really take everything apart pag sa cleaning. You'll notice na, yeah, we basically rebuild it. We take everything out, we clean everything up, and then we put everything back in. So that's why it does take us some time to do the cleanings. Kasi kahit yung cleaning, we really take our time and we want to take good care of it para talagang sobrang linis pagbalik sa customer. What's up, Vincent Danao? Happy Sunday. Reverend Jan, love the new shop. Just the parking, had to park a little far, but it's a lot better than before. Yeah, a lot of people, there was parking in the old shop before, but a lot of people, medyo masikip nga kasi mabilis maubusan ng parking. To be honest, most of the time I would just walk to the old shop para hindi na magdadala ng kotse kasi inisip ko baka makakakuha pa ako ng parking which should have gone to a customer. But the new shop now, super laki ng parking. No problem. It's such a huge lot outside. The downside is that we are a bit far from the parking lot, so you'll need to go up to the second floor. But you can just text us and like kung dala mo yung mabigat mong rig, you can just text us and we can, come down to meet you, no problem. Actually, when we first moved here, trivia lang, parang inisip nung utol ko si Rafael na may isang tao talaga naka-station sa baba, tas naka-walkie-talkie na, may parating na hardware sugar customer, tas naka-standby na yon sa baba to help customers up. And also to coordinate like courier pickups, Lazada, Shopee, when we finally activate those again. Pero di na namin tinuloy kasi customers seem to be able to find us okay. Tsaka, we really try to keep the shop lean, kumbaga yung ilang employees, para yung savings na yon, we can pass it on to our customers. So, the less people we have on staff, the less we have to pay in salaries, and, we don't have to price our products so much. I have mentioned before on multiple videos na lugi pa rin yung shop. It's quite expensive to run a PC shop. Honest to God, truth to heart, we're still in the red, but I'm hoping that this year will be the year that we go into the green. Just to illustrate how in the red we are, yung sapatos ko nga wala na, sira na. So I actually went to this side also, pero di double-sided tape ko na lang, pero kita mo yung nakaano na, parang gutom na yung sapatos ko. So I am kind of cheap, so I really run things into the ground. As you know, my computer is super old. My shoes have seen better days. And these shoes, I got married in these shoes. I went through 4 years of law school in these shoes. I worked 1 year at a firm in Makati with these shoes. I taught 3 years of university in these shoes. So in a way, I mean, jokes aside about being cheap, I am a little reluctant to give them up kasi ang dami na naming nadaanan ditong sapatos na to. They must be 10 years or so old or something, but they're really starting to um parang sinasabi na niya na it's time, you gotta let me go. Parang yung computer ko, parang ganun na din yung desktop ko. So, one of my goals for this month is to actually just get a new PC na finally. I do have an R7 3800X waiting for me, courtesy of a very generous customer, Hardware Sugar. ganun, ganun ako kawawa na yung customers na nga yung nagdo-donate ng parts sa akin. um, no, but I do, actually was super kind. He was like, no, you don't need to pay me now, but I don't feel right about taking, taking like a donation. So of course I'll pay him somehow. Um, but yeah, so one of my goals sana for this month, like I'm trying to get all of the YouTube stuff out of the way early, so all the scripts and all the shooting for the month na kailangan para I can concentrate on like setting up the Lazada again, and actually setting up my new desktop. Like I can't decide what case, if I want to go ITX, but anyway. So this is the build we're currently doing. This is a new build. The order came in yesterday. The customer actually chatted with us last Feb 19, came into the store yesterday. Yun, medyo understaffed tayo kahapon, so we weren't able to get it done within the day. Although to be honest guys, we actually don't like rushing builds, yung may papasok tapos, oy, can you have it done within the day? Sometimes we can, sometimes we don't, because we really do take our time with the cable management. And the more time, kung hindi kami rushed, we can check the drivers and things like that. But if it's like, kailangan within the day, sometimes the quality is still there. I mean, the cable management is excellent. Everything will run. But, sometimes we really just want sana time to have the shakedown with the PC before we give it to the customer. So, can you see Gerald here with doing what he does with the cable management? I've often said so in numerous videos and streams also that the guys in the shop build much better than me. Sobrang ganda ng cable management nila compared to what I can do. So, some customers ask me kasi if ako mismo yung gagawa ng build nila, and I tell them, you don't want me. You don't want me to do your build. I'll touch my own build kasi parang point of pride na syempre ako yung gumawa ng sarili kong build. Pero when it comes to customers, the guys at the shop are like infinitely better than me sa rig building. Yeah, so I tell the customers who ask that, I tell them na, no, you don't want me touching your build. This is an NZXT H510 Flow. Basically, so the H5 series was super popular for NZXT. Tas siguro naisip nila na, sikat, usong-uso ngayon yung Flow. So they were like, kailangan may flow, kailangan butas-butas din yung case natin. So they basically, it's the same chassis basically, the H510. They do have these nice parang, you just clip them on na lang. You see the bulbous heads there, then it just clips on. But yun nga, basically binutas lang, tas may mesh naman so that the dust doesn't get in, and then they can call it a flow. Since as previous comments on our streams have pointed out, parang the current meta is all about airflow and things like that. Natatawa ako na even for building may meta na. I mean, usually something reserved for games. The term meta well, of course, meta means like what Facebook is now. You notice this customer also ordered extension cable. So these are quite nice. Kung gusto mo na may konting kulay naman yung rig mo, pero ayaw mo naman ng RGB, these colored cables, extension cables, are really nice. They come in different colors. Ito, red, black. Ito ba yung Fantex, Gerald? These are the Fantex cables. Basically, these are extension cables, so they plug into your existing PSU cables. Pero, nakatago lahat ng PSU cables sa likod or sa PSU shroud. Yung makikita lang paglabas mo dito, so the visible area will just have these colored cables. So, a really nice way to, medyo uncommon pa rin sila. Not a lot of people think of adding them to their builds. So, it's a nice way and a relatively inexpensive way to differentiate your build. Kasi, tas kitang-kita talaga pag may dumaan, yeah, may RGB because the AS500 Plus has very nice RGB. But then also the cables, parang, iba yan parang red, black. Tapos braided pa to yung cables. So that's another sign of quality. Flat ba yung yung flat yung PSU niya, no? Compared to the standard PSU cables na parang flat plastic lang. Everybody's like, ooh, braided. Yun, it's another sign of quality. Another thing everybody is like, was like, ooh, cable combs. And to be honest, guys, when we started carrying these extension cables, everybody was like, ilang cable combs yan? Ilang cable combs? And I'm like, what is everybody's obsession with cable combs? I mean, yes, they look neat. But you know, talagang grabe. When we first started carrying them, it's like, ilang cable combs yan? Ilang cable combs? Tapos ako naman parang, di ko magets masyado ano yung obsession ng mga tao sa cable combs. We currently have two main brands for those extension cables, the Cooler Master over there, and then the Fantex right beside it. The Cooler Master I know comes with 24 cable combs. Tama ba? We have it on the site, like what it is. But I think I've answered enough inquiries na parang 24 nga tong... How many cable combs? The Cooler Master should have it on the box, man. Everybody asks how many cable combs. It doesn't say on the box, but I think if you research, and it is on our site, I think 24 cable combs tong si Cooler Master. I forget how many the Fantex is. But yeah, a nice way to differentiate your build. And yun nga, medyo universally acceptable siya. Kakabit lang siya dun sa existing mong PSU cables. So this rig is an 2060 with an R5 5600X, AS500 Plus CPU cooler. Excellent big boy cooler. Love the AS500 Plus. I personally had to review it for the shop about a year ago, so that video is up. Very nice CPU cooler. Very high performance actually. Ito yung stock ni NZXT, Gerald? Itong sa harap? Okay. Yeah. I was wondering, parang hindi siya yung Tickle Flow. Okay. So the customer did add a triple pack for RGB. Because I was looking at these fans and I'm like, parang hindi to yung usual AER F ata yung stock nung NZXT. So I was like, parang these fans look so they're Sickle Flow ARGB fans from Cooler Master. The nice thing about the Deep Cool is that it'll sync with all major RGB software. So masisync mo yung AS500 Plus RGB dito sa RGB ni Cooler Master. And if yun nga na matagal ko na rin nasabi sa mga streams and videos na sobrang sakit sa ulo yung RGB na yan, getting all of the RGB to talk with one another. So we try to either keep the same brand, especially kung NZXT lang talaga yan, or Corsair, or have brands like Deep Cool that can talk to everybody else. Kasi laking problema talaga nung getting all of the RGB to sync. It's a real pain in the ass. Vincent Danao gaming inquiry: are wireless headsets with 2.4 gigahertz viable for gaming? I'm actually reviewing this guy now, the MH670 by Cooler Master. I believe it's 2.4 gigahertz. I've never come across any latency issues, problems. So that's just my personal take on it. I haven't really done it super in depth na, I haven't played a lot of FPS with this thing, and I haven't had to scream like, oh my god, what are you doing? Go over here, shoot that guy, parang ganyan. But just based on my experience with it, which I've been using it a lot if you've noticed the streams, okay naman, no problem. Okay, sorry guys, I'll just going through the chat a bit and I'll try to get to you guys in a bit. Mer says from YouTube, angas talaga ng AS500. Yes, I really like, I personally do really like the AS500. Luis from Facebook, R5 5600X or i5 12th gen? Like i5 12600. Somebody asked this of me recently and I told him na parang medyo neck and neck na sila. It's really up to personal preference. He ended up going with the i5 12600. He felt na better performance siya. It's really kind of neck and neck. In some games, better si Intel i5. In some games, better si 5600X. Yung Intel lang kasi ngayon with the 12th gen, we've been getting reports, and he's not in the chat, but ITX Addict just recently messaged me na nahihirapan siya sa 12th gen Intel niya kasi yung XMP ayaw mag-activate. And if you caught, and he also sent a link of Jay's 2 cents. The video of Jay's 2 cents, like parang, yun nga, he delves further into it na medyo may RAM issues si 12th gen. Specifically with DDR5. Pero yung kay ITX Addict, alam ko kasi DDR4 yun eh. Tapos nahihirapan rin siya. So, there is a little bit of early adopters anxiety sa 12th gen. If you don't want headaches like that, the AMD R5 5600 is a proven, tested platform. You don't need to, yun, wala kang headaches na ganun. For sure, ma-enable mo yung XMP. AMD actually doesn't call it XMP. To be honest, I forget what they call it. But basically, whatever they, everybody just calls it XMP anyway. So, the more reliable choice is the 5600X. Although the i5 does edge it out in some tests, depending on the game and things like that. Chris, ask ko lang kung may page kayo sa Facebook. Yes, we do. It's facebook.com/hwsugar. I believe the link is actually in the video description of this stream. All right, so before we'll get to two builds in the back in a little bit that the customer is scheduled to pick up next week. But I just wanted to share a little bit about these two AIOs that we have in stock. None of these are for sale. I mean, everything else here is for sale except for this guy and this guy. The MagCore Liquid S360 and the MagCore Liquid C240. So yung background nito, pinadala ni MSI sa amin tong dalawang AIOs. But why did they send us these two AIOs? Kasi basically, if you saw our post yesterday or if you saw the video from a few months back, we were selling the Core Liquid 240R, yung MSI AIO. Tapos after 6 months, 8 months or so, napansin namin na ang daming bumabalik. Bumili sila nung Core Liquid 240R. Bumabalik sila sa amin na, oy, alam mo, sobrang taas ng CPU temperatures namin. The whole story is detailed in the video that I posted about yesterday. Mahanap mo rin sa site on our YouTube. And it was the first time that we had that kind of experience with the AIO na ang daming bumabalik. Medyo, there is no product na 100% of the time, for all of the time, gagana yan. May babalik talaga na AIO, RAM, kahit anong product may babalik. But it was the first time na may AIO na ganun kadami bumalik. And I saw some comments on the video where like, well, you guys just didn't install it right. That's kind of missing the point. Kasi nga, we're a shop, we send out, we build a lot of rigs, we sell a lot of AIOs, we install a lot of AIOs. Kung di kami granted, sige, let's grant the premise of the statement. Di kayo marunong mag-install ng AIO. And that's what caused it to fail. Kung ganun nga, hindi dapat lahat ng brands na ininstaller namin would have the same failure rate. Kasi nga kami, di kami marunong mag-install yung radiator orientation. And then of course, they sent the video of Gamers Nexus. But think about it, guys. If the premise of the question was correct, the premise of the comment, na di kami marunong mag-install ng AIO, di dapat lahat ng mga AIOs na binibenta namin, yung Capelix, yung ROG, yung NZXT, yung Deepcool, lahat yon dapat babalik with similar failure rates kasi nga mali yung orientation ng AIO rad. But, we do actually know a thing or two about installing computer hardware, and it was only the MSI Core Liquid 240R that was coming back with such regularity. Nakakaya nga, paminsan papalitan namin, and then like a month later, I think 2 weeks later, yung isa, babalik ulit si customer na, uy, alam mo, bago tong Core Liquid 240R na binigay mo sa akin, to replace the first one, but even the second one, nagkaka-overheat ulit. And it was really ridiculous. Like, we had one customer na naka-idle, like the CPU wasn't doing anything, pero I forget what the temperature was, like 90 plus or something. It's ridiculous. So anyway, to cut a long story short, I don't know kung mismo yung MSI, like at what level of MSI saw the video or or binalitaan ko syempre si distributor, si supplier na nakikita naman nila kasi pinapa-RMA ko yung mga sira na Core Liquid 240R. After we deal with it on the consumer end, we send back the broken one or the faulty one, the defective one to the supplier. So nakikita naman ni supplier na nakailang RMA na kami ng 240R. So binalitaan rin niya si product manager or something. Yun nga, I don't know up to what level umabot to sa MSI. But basically, MSI was like, we'll give you these two for free. We'll give you this is brand new actually. I think it came out just this month or like late Feb. So the Meg Core Liquid S360 is brand new. The C240 is also relatively new, but not as new as this guy. Pero sabi ni MSI, sige, bigay na natin tong dalawa kay Hardware Sugar, and you guys feel free to test it out. And then so that you can also you can review it and you can see kung if our current products still suffer the same problem as the 240R. And then I said, sure, you can send it. Pero yung condition ko lang, don't expect the review right away. So we're gonna test these things for like 3 months. And then gusto ko 24 hours. So I'm gonna install it in one of the shop. Well, we could install it. This is our stream test bench. It's the Fractal Design R6. So sobrang laki niya. It'll definitely fit a 360mm rad AIO. Or we might fit it into one of the shop PCs we have here. I think this is the Matrex 40 that Ken is using now. Matrex 40 ba to? Yep, there's the Matrex 40. Jay is rocking the Deep Cool. What model is this? The Deep Cool Macube 110. Thanks, Gerald. The Macube 110, which we also got from Deep Cool. And Gerald's PC over here is rocking the Fantech Pulse. Pulse pa to, Gerald? It's a Fantech, one of the Fantech, the case we got from Fantech. So my plan for these two AIOs, sabi ko kay MSI, sige, we'll take those AIOs, thank you. But don't expect a review right away kasi gusto ko 24/7 for 3 months, papatakbo talaga namin yon. To see, to try to mimic, we don't have the resources of some of those other big tech channels, but we'll try to mimic as much as possible, like as much stress on the AIO as possible to see if we can get it to break. Other reviewers have pointed out the Greg Salazar's video where he opened up the AIO to see what really goes wrong. I think there's like a sludge that develops kaya di na talaga makacirculate yung water. But whatever was wrong with the 240R, we'll try as much as possible to see if we can elicit the same kind of response from these two newer models. And to do that, yun nga, yung balak ko, papatakbo ko for 3 months, 24/7. Sayang kuryente, but that it's we'll see what we can see with these guys. So that was I was very clear with MSI or our supplier na sige kukunin namin yan and thank you, but that's really my condition na if you're sending it to us, it won't be a quick review. Medyo matagal pa before we can send something like that out kasi we really want to try to see as much as possible kung okay ba yung dalawa, si C240 at si S360. I had a friend who came in yesterday to the shop. He was picking up his computer because the GPU that he got from us broke. Sorry, Philip, if you're watching. Pero we replaced naman the GPU. He noticed also na may LCD display na to si S360. A very common feature now for AIOs because naging uso talaga siya with the Kraken Z series na everybody's like, wow, look at that LCD display. Although ROG had something similar even before NZXT, pero parang si NZXT yung nag-popularize talaga ng LCD display sa CPU block. Alright, so just these two builds. I've already wait, I'm just gonna check if we're still okay. Okay, pic looks okay. Green. Paki from YouTube, I recently bought a PC. Oops, sorry, nag-infinite windows sa YouTube. Joseph from Facebook, sup? Thank you I understand ikaw yung nag-encode ng resibo namin. Salamat. Chucky from YouTube, I recently bought a PC but I know little about PC components. I just learned about your channel last night. Since then, I've been binge watching a lot of your videos, slowly learning. Thanks to you. Thank you. It really makes it all worthwhile, to be honest, when I see comments like that. People really take the time to watch the videos and try to learn about the hobby. Kasi, that's really why we set up the store and the channel was to help people, to get people into the hobby. So, when we talk about tech, we try not to be super jargony. Like, it's not like, this RAM is 6,000 megahertz and it only works with DDR5 and your motherboard needs to be DDR5. Parang if you're a beginner, ang daming mga terms na talagang parang tinatatad ka, binubugbog ka, and it's hard to learn if, you know, all the tech guys are just spewing out jargon left and right. So, the Hardware Sugar, we really try to make it as easy, user-friendly as possible. Of course, jargon is important because usually those are technical terms that relate to specific things, but when you don't need to bring out jargon naman, when it's easier to explain it in layman's terms, we really try to do that as much as possible in all of our videos. So it's really nice to read comments like that kasi yun, that's really what we hope to do with the shop na to get more people into the hobby that we find so personally rewarding and exciting and fulfilling. Sup, Humphrey from YouTube. Yep, so I'm gonna make kwento. Gonna make kwento. Makita mo na lumalabas yung tunay kong in most of our videos I do try to speak more in Tagalog than I usually do in real life, but sa streams lumalabas yung tunay kong kulay kumbaga. Okay, these are two builds that are just waiting for pickup. We finished them last week. Sayang di mo makita, pero ang ganda talaga nitong 220T na case. Hindi siya ganun ka sikat, hindi siya ganun ka bestseller. But if you saw our Facebook post, sorry, I think it was an Instagram post. These guys are lovely. It's white. The case is white. Tapos may RGB peeking through the front mesh. Tapos sinet nila sa blue-white ata or medyo may pagka blue-green. Really, really nice. So these are twin builds. They're both going to the same owner. What really makes this build special for me is that returning customer to. Tas hindi lang yon. Yung una niyang build sa amin, nasira. So he got like a 3070 build for video editing. And then, like a month after, no, sorry, a week after, he got his new computer. Nasira yung GPU niya, so he had to bring it back. We lent him a replacement GPU in the meantime, which we do sometimes kung may extra GPUs naman kami. From 3070 na downgrade siya sa 2080 Super. You know, which is not bad, right? And I think we're the only shop actually that lends parts, loaner parts para magamit pa naman yung PC. But still, that's a big jump down from 3070 to 2080 Super. Tapos nakakaya, yun nga, brand new, tapos 1 week later, nasira na. But yun, that's what makes these two builds so special for me is that natuwa naman siya na, you know, we di namin siya napabayaan. We lent him naman an item, a GPU. And so he was happy enough naman with our warranty process na yun, he got 2 more computers from us several months later. Actually, sobrang natuwa nga siya sa 2080 Super. Bumalik na nga yung replacement 3070 niya na brand new. Pero medyo matagal pa before he got it eh. so parang no rush. Parang like, okay naman to si 2080 Super eh. So, yeah, medyo kinukulit ko pa siya eh. Na, uy, alam mo, yung computer mo, yung GPU mo, ready na. I mean, you can send your computer over so we can install it. So, but yeah, this is why these two builds are a bit special for me personally kasi nga, pinaghihirapan talaga namin yung warranty process ng shop. And it's nice to see that customers appreciate it nga, that we, you know, that we take care of them. We don't, yeah, palagi ko sinasabi na there is no brand, you know, all brands, walang brand na 100%, walang component na 100%, walang feature na gagana in every situation. But, and you know, it's a little embarrassing, but really we're not embarrassed when parts that we sell break down kasi that's the nature of the thing. Pero mahiya kami kung binalik mo sa amin tapos di namin inisikaso, di ka namin tinulungan. So that is our no BS warranty in a nutshell. And yun, I'm glad to see that customers appreciate it naman. Enough that even after nasira yung GPU nila after 1 week, 3070, bumalik naman sila to buy even more computers from us. This was a bit, these two rigs are a bit lower end than what he got for himself. This is for the office. Although, no slouch CPU-wise, R7 5800X, two 3050s. So we're actually out of stock of 3050s now. We need to restock soon, probably this week. And the Mobo is the B550 Aorus Pro AC. Actually, I really like Gigabyte/Aorus for motherboards. My personal build is using a Gigabyte UD or ultra durable. For motherboards, my personal preference is always Gigabyte. I'm running out of saliva. di na ako sanay na magdada for this long. Yeah, deep cool PSUs. Oh, the 750. I think it's a DQ 750. Oh, sorry, this is the. No, sorry. Okay, for PSU, we got a MWE Bronze 650 watts cooler master and the AK 620 for the cooler from Deep Cool. These are both meant for editing. These are editing rigs, 4K. So that's why we went heavy on the CPU and medyo. Actually, for GPU nga, we initially were at a lower model, but then the customer bumped it up a bit. So these guys have been ready to go since last week. The customer is just waiting for a desk para ma-pick up na niya. Alrighty, let's go to the chat. You'll notice again, work in progress, cable management wise. We also have this newly in stock, the Gigabyte M32Q. A lot of customers over the past few months have been requesting Gigabyte, so monitors. So we got one. Leah Magnaye is up. How are you in the shop this early? To be honest, I had an early morning. I had a 9 o'clock engagement, so I woke up at 7 plus. And after the engagement, I went over to the shop because I also had to shoot some things. I shot them already. And then I figured we might as well do live from the shop. Because I'm trying to get all of the deliverables for YouTube out of the way early this month so I can focus on building my own rig later in the month. As well as we have a big video coming up for YouTube, which is taking up a lot of my time just scripting wise. I haven't shot any of it yet. But yeah, I want to get that video out. I want to focus some time on that video, so I'm trying to get the rest of the deliverables out of the way. But we had pwede magtanong last Friday, pero every first Friday naman talaga si pwede magtanong. Oh, and then this second Friday we'll have pwede crypto watch. So yeah. Luigi, new personal rig live building. To be honest, nga mahiya ako to. I'd be kind of embarrassed to live stream a building because it's gonna take so long, and I haven't built a rig in like 3-4 years or 5 years, I think. Gano'n ko luma na yung i5-4690 ko. So you know, there's gonna be a lot of like researching, like paano ko to ikakabit talaga and stuff like that. And you know, I'm very upfront that I don't do a lot of the builds. Like I understand the parts because of the shop and things like that. But I do my own maintenance on my own rig. I built my own rig. I built all of my previous rigs also. But it has been a very long time since I built a build from scratch. So if we live stream that, baka one, it might take a super long time, and baka two, wala nang subscribers. Bumagsak na yung subscriber count ni Hardware Sugar because people are like, this is the guy we're supposed to listen to for tech advice, but he doesn't know how to install an AIO, or what the hell is he doing with that RAM, or stuff like that. So I am kind of hesitant about doing a live stream for my own build. Although we did do a live stream last year where I installed a SSD in my brother's PC, and I had to swap out the PSU on my build kasi nasira yung PSU ko. So we've done little things like that, like personally. And also in the shop, we've done, like Gerald has done a live build, the Teenage Engineering Element 1, Teenage Engineering Computer 1, sorry. And we had Jay do the 400k peso build live last year. So we do have some live builds occasionally, not just from me. Paolo, okay lang po ba na ilagay ng AI cooler sa front? I think you're referring to the radiator. Sige, let's do that. To demonstrate. So I think what Paolo means is like, kung yung radiator nung AIO nandito sa harap, generally it's fine as long as that it's slightly higher than the CPU block. Yun lang naman yung... There was a whole thing, kasi like last year, nag-release si Gamers Nexus nung video na proper orientation or placement nung AIO radiator. And so everybody now uses that thing like, you're doing it wrong and it should be like this and things like that. But again, Jay's 2 cents has a good video na as long as it's even slightly higher, the radiator than the CPU block, it's fine. So I think it's also emblematic dun sa hobby na a lot of people get very obsessed about certain things na, oh, wag mo i-bottleneck, or oh, yung AIO kailangan. Actually, here's a good example. So as long as the CPU block is slightly lower than this one, so the radiator is still the highest point of the build, it should be it's fine. Parang ganyan. So like this. Um, you just really don't want the radiator lower than the CPU block. Um, Gamers Nexus had an excellent video about it. He even opened it up. Tapos pinakita talaga niya what happens with the block and the water level and things like that. But yun nga, a lot of people, uh, one of the things I find annoying about the hobby, to be honest, is na people like to obsess about little things na in practical terms, you know, oh man, I was shooting pala, okay. In practical terms, it's maybe more productive to obsess about other things rather than some of the things that people like to attach to and like, oh my god, bakit ganyan. So yes, generally installing an AIO rad in the front of a case would be fine. Actually, more on a practical level, yung lookout mo dun, baka bumangga yung GPU mo dun sa AIO radiator or di mo malagay yung fans ng rad. You can see more of that happening dun sa build video namin, using a X53, so that's a 240mm rad in a NCXT H510 Elite. So we do put the radiator in front because that's the only place to put a 240mm rad, but we had to remove the fans on the radiator. So not optimal for cooling, but it usually gets the job done for most customers. And actually, I had a customer who did exactly the same thing. Sabi niya, mas mababa pa yung temps niya, yung CPU temps niya, with an H510 Elite, and the AIO rad dun nga sa front, kaysa sa isang cooler master case niya. And he was very happy with it. And I'm like, okay, good for you. All right, so what time is it? 11:40. Streaming for 40 minutes. We do have a much better GPU selection now. So we have it all the way from the 1000 series, 1660 Super. Not about 16. Thought we had 1650s. I guess not. 1660 Super, 2060, and then the 3000 ampere series, 3060 Ti. 3070 recently back in stock. Ti, 70 Ti, 80 Ti. Kulang na lang namin dito for Nvidia would be a 3090, which we can get but on special request. We do have a bunch of 6700 XTs as well as if you just want 1080p gaming, the 6500 XT. But Nvidia really dominates for GPUs. That is really about it. Oh yeah, I wanted to. This build has been in the shop for a while now. Actually, this is an old build. It came back to us with parang di nababasa nung hard drive properly. But we just swapped it out, the cable, and it's fine now. So basically, this has also been for pickup for a long time na. Maybe we should move it to the back. But the joke in the shop is na baka ayaw nang kunin nung it was the dad who brought it in, but it's a PC of the son, and so baka the son is being a lot more productive now that wala yung gaming PC niya. This is a Fractal Design Mini CTG, I think, the case. Yeah, Fractal Design Mini CTG. Gathering a bit of dust actually. Baka we should put it. Actually, even with the bigger space of the shop now, we might like want to put another table here for all of the builds na waiting for pickup and things like that. Kasi we have 2 builds for work where we actually build and here, but we need like maybe another table to store the things that are waiting for pickup. And like this one could use a shelf. So there's a bunch of things we can improve here in the new shop. I'll show you guys. Deepcool was also kind enough to send us their new cases. So these are for review. This is the CK560 in white, newly released, and I think this TG side panel belongs over there. So okay, let's move that. Let's not break the side panel. And the CK500 and the CK560. Actually, the 560 looks pretty good. Oh, so we gotta utang namin yan sa Deep Cool to review. Looks pretty good. Um, we might use those guys for the MSI AIO tests also. Although to be honest, I've been thinking like we do actually use the things that come in for review. So ayaw namin may nasasayang. So yun nga, this case that Gerald is using that was for review. Both the case being used by Ken and by Jay also for review. This chair from Sharkoon was also for review. So a lot of the items that we get for review eventually find their way into the shop. Tapos nagagamit din talaga namin. Yep. Sup, Philip? Thank you. Sorry na... sorry na... How old was your GPU? Ikaw na ba yung record? Ano, we had that guy na 1 week. We also had one recently na 1 month. But Philip, recently lang yun eh. 2 weeks ba yun? And his GPU failed. But yun, we replaced it. Yeah. Alright guys, so... Chan Chan from Facebook, shout out. What else? Franz Guzman. Fed up with MSI Core Liquid. Dalawang beses na ko nag-RMA because of overheating CPU. But my shop, not Hardware Sugar, wouldn't allow for a refund because it's more than 6 months na. I-replaced on down the exact same model. The reason was because there have only been 9 warranty claims. Oh, this sounds very familiar. For the past 4 years though. But if I'm not mistaken, the 240R only released 2 years ago. Yes, we talked about that in a post yesterday actually on Facebook. Shout out Neil from YouTube. Martin Luis Soriano, I have i7 4790. Is that processor good for 2022? You have a better processor than me. My current PC is an i5 4690K. So, it's still, yeah, I do everything on that thing. From gaming to editing to Word documents to streaming. Yeah, it's still a very capable CPU. You can actually see, I did a YouTube video on it like last year na pinalitan ko lang yung GPU. So I'm on a 3080 in an i5 4690K. Okay pa rin naman. It can game, like the games I want to play. Kaya naman. Pesto, sup from YouTube. Is it true that 12400 is better in video editing, DaVinci, than an equivalent Ryzen? Because the former has the hardware encoder for better responsiveness. I do not know, to be honest. I've always been interested in ano ba talaga yung best CPU for video editing. Um, I I want to run personal benchmarks, to be honest, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. So short answer, I really do not know if the 12400 is better than the equivalent Ryzen. I also can't recall any information that I've seen online. So yun, I really couldn't comment personally. Tia Magdaya pre-built for review, new PC for Sir Anton. That's probably what would happen, yeah. Kung maganda yung pre-built, siguro nga. Although, yun nga, I really do like making my own build decks. I like, it's, diba, parang, iba yun eh, na parang you chose the parts and then you got your hands dirty. So I might use it for a while. Although, it's kind of a moot question kasi we haven't gotten a lot of, we haven't gotten any pre-builts for reviews. So I don't think that, I don't think we need to worry about that anytime soon. Humphrey, replying to Pesto, yes, the iGPU in Intel gets utilized. I think Intel QuickSync yun. Oh, yun. Although kasi, the other thing is that, is it the paid version of DaVinci? Because the free version doesn't use the GPU eh. So, isa pang factor yun. Okay, last question from Renzo. Need serious advice right now. I mostly buy a 3070. But there's news that the 4000 series GPUs coming out June, July. Should I wait? Actually, I don't know the ETA talaga of the 4000 series, I doubt if they can get it out by June. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Um, our advice is always the same, basically. If you can wait, better to wait. But if you need it for some reason right now, or nakakasira sa mental health mo, like, diba, parang inisip mo, I want to game, I want to play, pero hihintayin ko pa. I mean, if it's that kind of situation, by all means, you should get the 3070. Kasi up in the air pa yun eh. I very much doubt that Nvidia can pop out those cards by June. Even if they do, it will take some time for them to reach us here. Ganun talaga yung reality. The Philippines is not a big market. We're not a priority destination for new hardware. So if you can wait, yes, better to wait. But if you can't, for whatever reason, then okay na din if you buy a 3070. It will still last you a while, you know, couple of years at least before you have any problems with games. All right, so thank you for joining me for another stream live from the shop. So bye from Gerald, bye from Ken. We are open every day, 9:30 to 4:30, except holidays. Yeah, our contact info is on the YouTube channel, other places, Facebook, things like that. All right, guys, have a good lunch. Take care. Yeah, tama tama.